We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, but also getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. You can find a link to our playlist in the show notes. Welcome to episode 92. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Pond. The Perth psych-pop band are releasing their 9th studio record today, entitled 9. In today's episode, we're speaking with frontman Nick Allbrook about pushing boundaries on the new record, how marathon running plays into his creative process, and we discuss the music of Betty Davis. Here we go. Our guest today is the frontman for one of Western Australia's most loved bands, Pond. The psych-pop band are releasing their incredible new record today, which is entitled 9. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours, Nicholas Allbrook from Pond. Good morning where you are. How are we?
I'm okay. I'm actually a little bit sick, but it's not the best. I get nervous telling people that now.
It's a different level of anxiety, I imagine.
Yeah. But I did a test and it said I don't have coronavirus. So I feel like I need to preface it by saying I don't have coronavirus, but I am feeling a little bit sick.
That's fair. It is, even when you go out to the shops these days, I feel that you feel guilty for almost sneezing or having a cough, even if it's just a general allergy.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's like I smoke cigs. Come on, give me a break.
They're just from darts. That's all it is.
Yeah. Come on.
Nick, congratulations. The new record for Pond 9 is out today.
Thank you.
It's a very, very exciting time for the band. Obviously, we've all been in a bit of a weird position in the last 18 months. How long has the record kind of been in gestation? Was it started pre-COVID?
Yeah, I guess so. It can be hard to know the gestation period, I suppose. These little embryos of ideas come up long before. But I guess, it's almost entirely a COVID production.
Yeah.
I think we maybe started just before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we got Dream Dust, the Pond studio, in February 2020.
Not both good and bad. I imagine it's not ideal to have it finally done and then a pandemic hits, but it's also at least it wasn't like you'd invested in a sporting venue or something like that where a studio I feel like gets a good use in the pandemic.
It really it did, although we were surprisingly good boys. I think it really showed the level of our fear of authority, how much we didn't go into the studio when it was lockdown, even though there's fucking no one there. It's definitely good. I'm glad we didn't invest in an arena or anything.
Yeah, that's very fair. The record is, it's gorgeous. It's a great record.
Thank you.
Of course. Pond, I feel, aren't known for making four to the floor indie rock records. You guys are known for making kind of crazy psych pop. And what I heard is that with this record, you thought, no, let's even try and push that boundary further and just fuck it, let's try and do everything and anything. Was that the case when writing this record?
Yeah. I really wanted to. I was imagining like a sprawling double, triple album. Except the eccentric one, the tusk of the catalogue.
Yeah.
I thought it would be like The Pod by Ween, or like Royal Trucks or something. But then gradually started recognizing more potential and got that old thing where you're like, oh, maybe we should develop this song into some sort of grand tower, a glistening tower. And you start getting rid of the songs that some people think are a bit too shit or too silly or too far out of the median.
Yes.
Like the median vibe of the whole thing. The outliers start to get culled, the stragglers get eaten.
Sounds like a scary kind of process to be going through.
It was a bloodbath.
Yeah. We recently, or maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, we had Shiny Joe Ryan on the pod as a guest. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about the songwriting process for himself and how with Joe obviously being part of Pond, but also yourselves, I feel like it's the band and then has many ecosystems of other bands within it. How you feel about the songwriting process in terms of, a Shiny Joe Ryan song becoming a Pond song and possibly vice versa? Like, I think it was Toast that kind of started as a Joe demo.
Yeah. How do I feel about that?
Yeah, like as in what are your thoughts in terms of the process of you having like writing Pond songs, and then I guess do you ever find that you'll come across a Joe demo that's like, oh, that could actually work with this, or vice versa, that you ever write a Pond song that you're like, no, that's not us, but that might actually work for someone else?
All right. No, not really. It doesn't go across. It's like it doesn't go across the pond. All songs sort of, that this is going to be a fucking annoying analogy. Sort of sink downwards towards the pond.
I think it's a good analogy.
Thank you. And they either get spat back out the same side, straight back into the loving arms of their progenitor, or they sink in. But no, I've never actually there's never been like a Joe seed that's gone on to like a Nick album or vice versa or anything like that. But yeah, sometimes it's just songs that you think you've written a song, you're like, oh, this might be cool for a Pond record, and you maybe try demo it a bit with some of the other guys, and maybe it just doesn't take. It doesn't. I don't know. It's a strange process. Sometimes it's just like no one's really. It hasn't set any sparks.
Yeah. And
then after 6 months, a year of making the album, you've got 9-10 songs, and that one's not there, and you just go, all right, I'll take that back, motherfuckers. No, you're very, very, very elegant.
With the recording across the last number of months, I know that you're currently based in London. Was it remote recording? Were you in Perth for part of this, or was it half and half, or what was the process of?
I was there. I was there for the whole thing. Yeah, I only moved here after it was done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, have you previously, before pre-pandemic, ever done any of like a remote recording or anything like that, or has it always been in studio with the band?
Yeah, it's always been in the studio, but it's always been a lot like a bit more. We have less time because we've been touring so much. So fuck, I can't even believe we used to tour all the time. Crazy. But no, we'd like write a whole bunch of songs separately, dig into our demos, the various hard drives, and find songs versus bits that were good and sort of collect them all together, share them, listen through, and say like, oh, that's good, that's really cool. If there were things that didn't have lyrics, I'd like see which things felt like I could write good lyrics over.
Yeah. Take
them away, do that. And then we'd book a studio for a month and go in and sort of bash it all out. But with this one, we didn't have all those like already propagated seedlings. We just sort of went in and like grew everything from almost from scratch, apart from a few little ideas that were floating around, which was really fun. It was really cool, and I think when things grow organically from scratch, like it's immensely satisfying.
Yeah, of course. Is that a process you think you could see yourselves doing in the future, kind of taking it more down that path and making records that way?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get. I don't think we'll get stuck on anything, because that's basically why. I guess that's why we went to it, because we were getting very comfortable in that process I just described before.
Yeah.
We just thought we'd do something different.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The record, one of my favourite tracks off it was Take Me Avalon, I'm Young, which was cool. A gorgeous, I love the horns in it, the strings. It does kind of have like almost a bit of like a tiny orchestral feel to it. Firstly, and this is something that we touched on with Joe when we spoke to him, does this kind of orchestral and horns come from any love of Betty Davis?
Man, I love Betty Davis so much, but no, I don't. I'd be lying if I said that was what I was thinking of. I think the main thinking was Young Americans. I remember.
Oh yeah.
I got really into that record for a little bit, Fuck, it's a whole lifetime we spent making this album. Like, so much that we all went through different like phases, like within making the album, with somewhere in the middle of making this fucking great big album, I got really into Young Americans again. And yeah, I remember we decided to do that on that song. give it the sort of give it the real jamboree sort of group vocal thing at the end where it says, here's looking at Euclid. I really thought I was being funny. Yeah, lots of tambourines and backing singers and horns and clapping.
Is it something that we could potentially expect on when touring does open up again? Could we possibly see a more expanded live lineup of Pond?
Dude, I would fucking love that. I've been barking up that tree for so long. But
if there's any time to do it, Nick, now.
Yeah. It's expensive though, Simon. It's expensive. You know?
That is also true. I can't.
But I'm as good a pinko as the next guy, so maybe we can just dock the top players pay and give more opportunity to a big choir and a horn section. We'll dock Gum's pay.
Look, I have no. Yeah. If it doesn't come to that, or if Gum does have an issue with that, I don't think fans. No, all good. I don't think fans would have an issue if you build. If I saw on a poster a night with Pond and friends, whoever they may entail, I'd pay extra for that. Why not?
Yeah. No, I honestly, I would. I really want to do that, yeah. And I can't imagine playing, especially that song, which is one of my favorite songs on the record. I can't imagine doing it without backup singers and horns.
Yeah,
and even strings. It's got a 6-string string arrangement by Jesse Kotansky. And it would be such a bummer not to have that live. It would be real epic.
This is a silly question. Have you missed playing live over the last number of months?
That's not a silly question. Sort of, yeah. We've had a lot of other stuff on my mind. And I also really enjoyed not playing. I think I've said this to other interview people, which is annoying, but it's hard to avoid. But like, without touring for that long, I experienced a level of like groundedness that I hadn't for so many years, maybe even my whole life. I became a professional gardener and watched the whole cycle of the seasons, turn around in one. Watched summer go into winter and winter go into summer, all from one room, one window.
Yeah.
And that's just so much more of a like vast, like profound satisfaction than touring and playing live, I think.
Yeah, of course. Imagine.
I did. Of course, there were moments when I missed playing live. It's a massive kick.
Yeah,
it's a real big kick.
Talking about not playing and having time to do other things. I know that you're also an avid runner / marathon runner. I know that you're a big advocate for the Fred Willows Foundation, I believe.
Fred Hollows.
Oh, Fred Hollows. I had it in my notes, and I think Fred Willows is like an actor. So that's embarrassing.
I don't know.
Fred Hollows is the it's the
Fred Willows actor.
This is very embarrassing.
It's quite all right.
It was, yes, Fred Hollows, who obviously that foundation raises a lot of money for charity for people with eyesight issues and helping in restoring eyesight. When you are, I guess, running, because marathon running isn't easy, you've got to kind of prep for that. That's taking a lot of time doing things like that. I'm wondering how that plays into, it might be a bit of a stretch here that I'm drawing the line between, but if there is any impact from doing marathon running to your creative process, and whether that going for training for marathons, doing that allows you to reset and kind of clear out anything that I don't know if that
I mean, I'm totally, man. I don't think it maybe doesn't draw like there's a great book written by Haruki Murakami called What I Talk About When I Talk About Running, and he really draws a very distinct parallel between his training and his writing, his creative process, because he writing novels, and he writes quite big novels, not all the time, but he does write these great fucking tomes, are like probably really similar processes, like require going through a lot of self-doubt, this constant fluctuation of like what I'm saying is that my process probably isn't quite as analogous to long distance running, but that part is totally helpful. Like any creativity, I reckon, is hard because you've got to constantly be faced by this feeling, like this feeling of your own shitness. You see something that you've done and you think that's shit, and then the question, the challenge is to make it not so. Which is like, that is what creativity involves, is like turning a spark in your mind into something that you can look at or listen to and think, yeah, that I feel good about that. That's achieved somewhere around, if not what I imagined in the first place, something I'm actually happy with. And that like requires this constant like putting something down and going, oh, that sucks. That's a stinker, and changing it. And I feel like running is this constant like up and down. You're like, oh, pretty sore. And then you get this sort of rush and you start like waving at babies in prams and and skipping, and like it's the best fucking tune you've ever heard in your life, and like you got goosebumps, and then you're like, man, I'm getting tired, dragging my feet a bit. I think it's too hot. I probably shouldn't have even come out today. You just do that for like 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see the lines that might draw the parallels between them.
Yeah, but I think the most like the biggest effect it's had is just a time to actually meditate, and just the effect that it has on your whole life, really. Yeah, it's just it's like I can always go there and forget and forget the troubles of the world disappear for that period of time.
That's very cool. I can not a huge runner myself, but I can appreciate that feeling and that escape of that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot less healthy ways to get that effect.
I'm just not any good at running. Just the coordination, Nick, it's not there. Nick, would you be happy to talk about the playlist that you made for us?
I'd love to, yeah.
It is an eclectic playlist. It's a great playlist. The one song I wanted to start with was one that Joe also picked as well, which was Robert Wyatt, Pigs in There.
Did he pick Pigs?
You've both picked Pigs, which before his and your playlist, I hadn't really heard much of Robert Wyatt or this song, but I'm curious what it means to you, because I'm wondering whether it's a thing shared by the band or what it is. It's a very interesting track.
It's sick, isn't it? I think that song is shared by the band. Yeah. I mean, like, I think Melody Prochet introduced us to that song, but not the rest of Robert Wyatt's catalogue. And then I got introduced to the rest of it by Evelyn Ida Morris Pikelet when they were helping me record like a solo album. And since then, yeah, Robert Wyatt's been my sort of like a shining light, you know, a northern star. I think he's amazing, and I love this song because it really shows it shows his tenderness, like the tenderness of his spirit. And it's not something that that you really hear enough of in lyrics. There's so much there's so much big feeling and big characters, and you know, these sort of towering biblical kind of stories and love and pain and all this stuff. And this is just it's so honestly him, like it's so non-preachy the way that because he's essentially doing this sort of like animal rights activism standpoint with the lyrics, but he's doing it in such a gentle, self-doubting, like, you know, West Country British kind of way, which is so fucking honest. I really like when people's lyrics like express a character that's really them, and that's a lot more nuanced than your like your stock standard pop music characters.
Yeah,
these archetypes. I think that's why I really like Kanye West, because his character is the things that he talks about and he expresses are so far from the hip hop or pop music archetype. He's like yeah, like no one admits to the bad stuff that he talks about feeling on record.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't think anyone admits to the sort of you know, meek, mellow, confused, tender sweetness that Robert Wyatt does.
It's a very interesting connection to make between Robert Wyatt and Kanye, but I can see what you mean. I didn't think that's where it would be going.
Yeah.
Another song that was on the playlist was by the gentleman behind me just here, Frank Ocean, with Self-Control.
Yeah.
What is it about this song that you love?
Oh, man, it's so beautiful. I had a lot of trouble. I almost listened to the whole album deciding which song to put on this, because everyone's like, fuck, man, staggering. I mean, shit, there's books that can and probably have been written about this album. But I guess I'll skip around all that shit. No, I personally, I had my first. I remember having my first really painful breakup in Nice, in France. I'd moved over, and then straight after that, I caught a train to Toulouse for Julien Barbagallo's wedding, which is just fucking perfect, isn't it? Go straight to a wedding.
I didn't want to say anything, but yeah.
Yeah, oh God. and this and you know, if that wasn't bad enough, this album had just come out like that day. And I listened to it on the train, and yeah, was just this sort of like this puddle this puddle of tears, and it is just yeah, it changed. I guess it changed a lot for me and everyone's like sonic landscape.
Yeah.
Definitely gave me a new, like, I'd been really into the idea since way back of using auto-tune in a more emotional, organic way, but I could never really figure it out. I remember when we were writing Zan Man for, like, when I was writing Zan Man for Hobo Rocket, that was part of my idea of it, because I wanted it to be like really emotional, but also express the sort of like nihilistic, nihilism of like pharmaceutical, the modern pharmaceutical brain. But I never really figured it out. And then I like hearing Blonde, it's like, a fuck. There he goes. It was very inspiring and very emotional.
Yeah, it is an incredible record.
Truly one of the best.
One more song, and it's literally it's wrapping it up with the lady we were talking about before, Betty Davis. She makes an appearance on the playlist. If I'm in luck, I might get picked up. What is it about this song that made it qualify for the playlist?
I've just got such good memories of it, you know. I wanted to pick songs that I could actually talk about if you asked me to, instead of just saying, oh, they're great.
we just used to
We used to listen to this like out back in the share house.
Yeah.
Me and Joe and Kevin and Jay and Jamie out the back of Troy Terrace. Just had a record player, and one of us managed to get this, and we just fucking loved it. We thought it was the best shit ever.
The rest was history.
Yeah, and then we made that song that Jay actually wrote. Betty Davis will come down from the heaven to save us, and like years later, someone said, like, Betty Davis isn't dead. I don't think we'd even thought about like the implications of will come down from the heavens, meaning that she's dead. But it was like, oh shit, I didn't even think about it.
It could also just mean that she was put on a pedestal, that she's held in high regard. It doesn't.
Yeah, it could. Thank you. We needed you there.
Look, anytime song title clarification, please give me a call.
Thank you.
Nick, thank you again for your time today. Congratulations on 9. Again, it is a gorgeous record, and we look forward to seeing you when you come back to tour, when we're able to have gigs and shows.
Beautiful. Thanks a lot, mate.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Nick and Pond for their time. 9 is out now, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to buy or stream the record. We also want to give a huge shout out to Suzy at Positive Feedback for helping out with today's interview. You can find a link to our Spotify playlist in the show notes, where you'll be able to listen to all of Nick's picks. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Thursday and Friday morning, with guest playlists streaming on Spotify at the same time. You can follow the playlist profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.